Coming to paperback and Kindle Unlimited, Isis, All That Glitters. The goddess next door takes on a bikini-clad bank robber in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, All That Glitters in paperback and Kindle Unlimited this March. Many SJW comics pros oftentimes scratch their heads wondering why their characters fail to connect with readers and why their stories fail to resonate with audiences. And the reason why their stories fail to connect with readers and their characters fail to connect with audiences has to do with the story model that they use, the approaches to storytelling that are used, and the concepts that are a part of their foundation. Now, when it comes down to the so-called SJW superhero, their whole reason for being here is diametrically opposed to the hero's journey. Now, the hero's journey has always been something based on selflessness, and it's a character transformation arc where an individual learns that they have to be responsible not only for themselves, but use their powers and abilities and talents to help those in the community and protect those in the community who cannot help themselves or are put in danger by other people. And an example of this is Amazing Fantasy 15, which featured the first appearance of Spider-Man. And as everybody knows, in that story, Peter Parker starts out as this nerd, and he thinks that once he gets this power, he can use the power of the Spider-Man to enrich himself. And he wants to use it to make money for himself until one day the guy decides to rob the arena he's in, and he just doesn't care. And the words that Ben Parker come back to him after the tragedy of the burglar murdering his uncle, he learns that the power he has, the great power, he has to take responsibility in using it, and he has to use that power to protect others. And this is what drives Peter Parker to go out here and fight crime selflessly, because he knew that that one moment of selfishness cost Uncle Ben his life. And it's that tragedy that drives Peter Parker to be selfless, because he doesn't want anyone else to lose their family members, because he just didn't have the time to go out and stop that individual. Now, when it comes down to the SJW superhero, they are not driven by selflessness the way Peter Parker was driven by selflessness, the way Bruce Wayne was driven by selflessness, the way Tony Stark was driven by selflessness, or the way Steve Rogers was driven by selflessness to become a hero. No, the SJW superhero is driven to be a hero for selfish reasons. And the reasons why they want to become heroes is because they want to either represent an ideal to others, or they want to show others how great they are. So everything with the SJW hero is all about them, and it's never about the people they serve. So what drives the SJW superhero is something internal, as related to their ego and related to their pride. And these character traits are things that turn off readers, because these character traits are similar to those of a supervillain. Because supervillains usually, again, they are driven by their desire to sate their ego, to get power for themselves, and to win the praises of others or get the attention of others. If you read Stan Lee's Bring On the Bad Guys, you will see that most villains oftentimes are motivated in the exact same way that the SJW heroes are. And I've read Stan Lee's Bring On the Bad Guys, and it clearly shows characters like Dr. Doom, the Red Skull, Loki, and the Green Goblin. They were all driven by their selfish desires, and it was their selfish desires that led to them becoming villains. And because they were driven by their selfish desires, they didn't have a sense of responsibility to others. They weren't really concerned about the safety of others, and they weren't concerned who got harmed as long as they got what they want. And this is one of those things that makes these SJW characters so unappealing, is they come out here and they're so selfish, and they often come out here believing that they are better than everyone else. And this is another trait that turns people away from these characters, is this whole superior attitude that many of them have. Many of them are very condescending. Many of them believe that they are better than everybody else. And many of them believe that they are doing everybody a favor and acting in their greater good. And an example of that could easily be seen with the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel character in the Second Civil War. And it could also be seen with the Kamala Khan character in the Civil War, when she was just literally arresting all of her own friends and saying she was doing it for their own good. Moreover, we could also see this in the Riri Williams Iron Man character, or Ironheart character, in the way she took over Latveria. It was all about her, and it was all about her acting in the so-called greater good. And these character traits, again, were not heroic at all, because I could see the same type of behavior when I was reading the Avengers graphic novel Emperor Doom. Your Dr. Doom believed that if he made the world all one way, it would be a better place in Emperor Doom. And we saw that same behavior and motivation for your Riri Williams in those issues of Iron Man, where she took over Victor Von Doom's homeland, Latveria. So when we look at these SJW characters, they are driven, again, by these selfish traits, and they are driven to do whatever they want without regard for others, and they believe they're doing what is right in the greater good. And this is what makes these characters very unappealing to audiences who read comics and know that the hero's journey, again, is about heroes doing the right thing and doing what is right, whether or not they receive some sort of benefit. This is another thing that alienates people about these SJW characters, is that they want to do what is right as long as it benefits them, and not whether it benefits anyone else. So it's always about them getting what they want and never thinking about anybody else's needs. So that's one of the big problems with your SJW, characters. The other thing that makes these SJW characters unappealing is the fact that they are also built on a foundation of victimology. Now, victimology is a philosophy that started in the 1960s after the civil rights movement came, and then we entered the feminist movement, and the feminist movement taught this whole concept of victimology. Now, the victimology teaches people that nothing is their fault, and because nothing is their fault, they don't have to take any sort of responsibility. And this philosophy was taught by the feminist movement in the 1960s to black women, and it was taught throughout the black community as the reason why their community was so poor. And because a lot of people started to believe that their community was poor due to a so-called white man, which was really a social construct for a white man, they started feeling that they had no sense of responsibility for themselves. And when you see this also as a part of the SJW character's mindset, because when you look at characters like your Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, in Civil War II, when she literally turned on her friends, it was always somebody else's fault. She was always following somebody else. So she was following the concept of victimology. And when you look at other characters who were a part of the SJW story model, nothing is ever their fault. And again, this is diametrically opposed to the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is all about an individual learning that they are responsible for themselves, and because they are responsible for themselves, they have to take responsibility for their community, and they have to make efforts to go out here and protect their community. So A hero can't be a hero if they follow the concept of victimology, because victimology, again, is what drives villains. Guys like Dr. Doom are driven because they believe what happened to them is somebody else's fault. Dr. Doom always blames Reed Richards for the fact that his face was disfigured. And the Red Skull often blames others for himself becoming a Nazi. There's never any sort of responsibility on the point of the individual when it comes down to the villain, because again, the villain, everybody else is at fault but them. But when it comes down to the SJW character, they try to make us, believe that this character is a hero, even though this character, whole foundations are based on a villain's platform. And this is why these characters fail to resonate with readers, because readers know that this is not a hero. The character is not based on a platform of a hero. Their ideas and ideals are not based on the platform of a hero. Their mission is not based on the mission of a hero. And their whole reasons and motivations are not heroic. Heroes fight to protect others based on, again, selflessness. And because they are selfless, it is not about what they gain in any sort of situation or what they get out of a situation. It is about what others get in the situation. When Spider-Man stops a crime, it's about protecting that store owner and protecting individuals from being harmed by a supervillain. And whether or not he gets hurt is not the issue. It's making sure other people are safe. But when these SJW characters come out here, it's all about them. And if bad things happen to them, then it's somebody else's fault. And they are only out here fighting the bad guys because it's somebody else's fault. There's no sense of responsibility. So if things go bad, they always switch over at when things go bad to say it's somebody else's fault, not theirs. And this is why these characters are just a huge turnoff, because these characters are not about personal responsibility, personal accountability, or trying to improve the quality of everyone's life because they want to see others have a better quality of life. It is all about sating their ego, getting what they want out of a situation, and getting praise and accolades from others. Sort of like with this Unstoppable Wasp, the Nadia Pym character. It's not about her stopping the bad guys because it's the right thing to do. It's all about her showing how great a girl she is, how smart she is, and how much more superior she is to everyone else. And these, again, are character traits that are huge turnoffs, because these are character traits of a villain. These characters, they come across, again, as very arrogant, very condescending, very obnoxious, very arrogant. And these characters, when they ever are in a comic, they just don't appeal to readers, because when you read these SJW characters, they are sitting there spouting their virtues and thinking that they are the best thing since sliced bread. And that, again, turns off readers. When it comes down to readers, they want to see this hero going out to go on this hero's journey, learning lessons on the hero's journey, and learning that being a hero isn't about other people. It's about how this individual wants to serve the community that they are a part of, and how they want to protect the community they are a part of. But social justice is not about going out here to serve the people. It's about people looking to serve themselves, and it's about people looking to be served by the community. And this is what the social justice warrior is all about. And this is the platform they use. They want the community to serve them, and what they want the community to do is serve them, because they believe that the community has to be responsible for them. They believe they have been victimized by some sort of construct whether it be an evil white man by a group of black people, a patriarchy by feminists, or the construct of American imperialism for foreigners. They believe they have all been victimized, and they believe they need to get some sort of reparation through social justice, and they are angry about the state of the world, and they want to change the state of the world through the position of the victim. But what they don't understand is that the position of the victim is not a position of power. Now, I understand this because over the years I've had to go through some hardships in my life, and people tried to put me in the position of the victim. And from that position, I saw that there was no power in that position. The only way to get power is for you to take your life into your own hands and to take responsibility for yourself. And then when you take responsibility for yourself, then you can have the power to make choices on your own. But the victim, they believe that they have power because people are paying attention to them. Unfortunately, what they don't understand is that the victim is only getting attention because they are powerless. And when you are powerless, you have to take what people give you. And the social justice warrior, they just want to be given things, not understanding that there is a greater power when you go out and do for yourself. So they believe that using this position of the victim to bully and shame others, they can go out here and get concessions from corporations like a Marvel or a DC, but what they're getting is actually crumbs from the table. Yes, they'll give you a diversity character here or there. They'll give you a couple of editorial positions here or there for token reasons, or they'll even publish your book for token reasons, but you could have had far more if you went out here and worked for yourself. And this is what makes the SJW a very difficult person to work with, because they don't understand what they can get from hard work. They want to use the position of the victim to try to achieve success. But what they don't understand, again, is you cannot achieve success from the position of the victim, because when it comes down to the victim, again, the victim gets what is given to them, whereas the person who has to go out here and work, they go out here and try to work to take what they want, and they work to achieve what they want to achieve. And when they go out here and work for what they want and go out here to take what they want, what happens is people learn to respect that individual. They go out of their way to help that individual, and they go out the way to help the individual because they see that individual taking power in their life. And as they empower themselves, they go out of their way to empower others. And the SJW, what they want to do is take power away from people by using the position of the victim. And when you take power away from people, what happens is you not only weaken yourself, you weaken others. And that's why Marvel Comics right now is in a state of decline. The reason why it's in a state of decline is because these SJWs, they just want to keep taking power and taking control. They keep using this position of the victim to get more and more power. But what's even worse is they don't want to take any sort of responsibility. Everything is always somebody else's fault, and they never want to take that look within to see what they are doing to cause their books not to sell. Now, when I was starting the SJS Direct imprint and I was having some books struggle, I always took that look within to say to myself, you know, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong with stories? What am I doing wrong here with the covers? And as I began to ask those questions, I began to listen to my readers who were telling me they were having problems with things like hand-drawn covers and things like me using Photoshop covers. And as I explained the problems to people, people began to understand. And as they saw me making efforts to help myself when I took parts of my comic collection and toy collection and put it on eBay to pay for the first Isis Wrath of the Cyber Goddess cover, people started to see that I was willing to take responsibility. I was willing to make choices, to make sacrifices to improve the quality of my products. And when people saw me doing that, that's when they wanted to help me improve the quality of the covers on SJS Direct books. And while I'm still struggling, people are starting to show me respect because they see that I'm willing to make those sacrifices. I'm willing to take responsibility, and I'm willing to go out here and take ownership of the books I publish and try to improve my standards. Now, I know I'm not the best at anything or everything. I'm just trying to do things as one man, but I always make an effort to listen to others and try to improve the quality of the products. But when your SJW gets criticism, instead of them taking that minute like I do to reflect on what people are saying and then try to work with them, these people will lash out at people on social media. And when they lash out at people on social media, what they do is further alienate people who would have possibly bought their products. And even worse, those casual people who are on the outside who hear these hostile exchanges and then say, if this is the way this person is acting in a professional setting, then maybe I don't want to buy their products. Because if this person cannot take constructive criticism from people who are buying their product, then maybe I shouldn't buy their product because this person's behavior is just unprofessional. When they see this unprofessional behavior and then they look at this product, they have no reason to go out here. But all the foundations of things, again, of this SJW character and why it doesn't resonate is it comes, again, from these foundations of victimology. It comes from the foundation of selfishness, and all of these things run counter to what Julius Schwartz and Stan Lee presented and Jim Shooter presented as the precepts and concepts for the superhero and the foundations of the superhero. And what we have in SJW superhero comics aren't superheroes. What we have are supervillains. And what we have are supervillains trying to appear like heroes. And this is why these comics just don't sell. The story models used, the concept foundations for the concepts used, they are diametrically opposed to the hero's journey, and they are all based in the whole concept of victimology. A victim can never be a hero because a victim never takes power. Only a survivor can be a hero, and that's something I learned years ago when I read Tales of Suspense 39 that was featured in Stan Lee's Son of Origins. As I read about Iron Man and Tony Stark, I learned about why a victim becomes a survivor and how that survivor becomes a hero. Because Tony Stark could have easily just given up in that Viet Cong jungle when he found out about the shrapnel in his heart. But when he realized that he had to build this suit to not only make himself survive, he learned that he could become a survivor. And when he saw Yinsen sacrifice his life for the ideal of doing what is right, and he saw Yinsen sacrificing his life for himself, for Tony Stark, Tony realized that he had to become a hero to protect others. He realized that that iron shell that he was using wasn't going to be just a weapon to harm others. It was going to be used as a tool to protect others. And as he put on that armor, he began to reconnect with the world of people in a way that he wasn't able to connect as a playboy. As the playboy before, he didn't care about people or the harm that his weapons did to others. He was completely disconnected. But once he put on that armor, he became a hero who connected not only with other heroes in the community, but he connected with groups like S.H.I.E.L.D., and he learned that he had a responsibility to protect others. And this is what is missing from these so-called social justice comics. It's all about them getting social acceptance and social currency, and it's very little justice in these comics. And again, this is another reason why these comics don't sell, because it's all about them being social currency for the creators, and it's not all about teaching a story about how heroes get justice for others. And this is why your SJW comics struggle. This is why your SJW comics fail. And this is why your SJW comics are killing your comic book industry. So as I take a critical look at these SJW comics, I understand, again, their foundations are not based on the hero's journey. They are not based on selflessness. They are based on selfishness, and they are based on the concept of victimology. And again, a victim can't be a hero because a victim is a powerless person. It is only when a victim starts to want to move forward in their life that they become a survivor, and it's when they become a survivor that they go out here and have the motivation and inspiration to inspire others by participating in behavior that others see as heroic. I understand this journey because I went on this journey myself back when I was 16 years old, when I got mugged on a train at Park West High School, when I was at Park West High School, and I had to go on that journey myself, and I had to go from the victim who was attacked on that train for a leather jacket to an individual who was a survivor and a person who changed schools and then continued to be a survivor all the way until I started doing things for myself, and I became a person who wanted to be a hero to others by going out here and producing positive stories about the African American experience and diverse stories about the African American experience in my literature. So I understand the hero's journey because I went on it myself, and the only way I could get justice for myself and try to ensure that others don't get harmed the way I got harmed was by trying to go out here and again show that there was a different way for others to do things in the black community than go out here and participate in this type of behavior. And I want to give people alternatives and show them different ways of life and walks of life in the black community so they can understand that there was more to being black than the hood and the streets and street culture, and there was more to it than the victim narrative that is pushed in street culture. So I understand the hero's journey, so whenever I see an SJW comic, I know that there isn't very little things as related to justice in those books, and it's all about social currency and sating the egos of the individuals who craft those books. So when I look at those comics, there's a reason why they don't reach readers, they don't resonate with readers, and they don't connect with readers. It is because these heroes are not about anything heroic. They're not about doing the right thing. It's all a play for vanity. It's all about sating those creators' egos, and it's all about them and not about the reading audience. And when you're writing a story, it has to be about what you want to share with the audience and what you want the audience to learn, because when you're crafting stories, it's not about you, it's about what you want the audience to learn from what you tell in that story. If you'd like to pick up some of my SJS Direct stories, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, The Temptation of John Haynes, The Man Who Rules the World, and the Spinsterella trilogy, you may do so by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to help me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, E-Steam: The Sands of Time. It's action and adventure in ancient Egypt in this terrific teen time travel romance. Get your copy of E-Steam: The Sands of Time at your favorite online bookseller today.